Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Tara and I am a mom of two boys, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I make Montessori and motherhood videos here on my channel. Today I have another Montessori video for you guys, and today's video is going to be all about how to get dressed using the Montessori method. In today's video, we are going to go over how to help your child learn to dress themselves, the benefits, and why we encourage this independence at such a young age, and as well as some items and ways that we can help facilitate this independence. So if this sounds like something you are interested in, then keep watching. I'm going to show you guys how I help my 20-month-old and my 3-year-old with getting dressed. So this should give you a good sense of what independent dressing can look like with a toddler and a preschooler. So in the book Montessori from the Start, the author notes that the goal of teaching your child how to dress themselves is not necessarily for the parent. It's not so that we can get the kid dressed faster, and it's not really even about putting the clothes on the body. The aim is really to help build a child's sense of self and give them that independence and confidence that comes with that. It's really about how the child feels about themselves after they're dressed that is the most important. There are a lot of benefits in teaching your child how to dress independently. It helps with their fine motor coordination, their hand-eye coordination, and their concentration. And it can also help when it comes to potty training, because they'll be more efficient at pulling their pants down and getting their underwear and pants pulled back up. So it's really going to help with that. A common question that is brought up is when to start. And I would say to start early. Really, once your child can stand on their own, this is a great time to start introducing some of the concepts that we're going to talk about later in the video. You want to let them do whatever they can do. So it may be that they are just trying to push their head through a shirt hole, or maybe they're starting to lift a leg when you're putting on their pants. Those are all great signs of them being interested in learning to dress themselves. It is important to remember that toddlers learn to undress first, so this can sometimes be an inconvenience to adults, but it should also be encouraging because this is a stepping stone to learning how to dress. The first area I want to start is the clothes for your child. There are a few things you need to consider when picking out clothes for your children. We want clothes that help to promote their independence, so this is going to be loose fitting clothes like pants with an elastic band, or shirts that don't have a bunch of buttons. Little rompers are so cute. I love how they look on little ones, but they really do not aid towards helping your child learn to dress or undress themselves. So if you are trying to focus on this, I would probably steer clear of things that are not easily able to get on and off of your child. The next thing that you're going to want to consider is time to practice. You may need to add an additional 15 to 20 minutes to your morning routine when your child really starts wanting to dress themselves. Usually this begins around closer to age 3 when they begin to want to do it myself. Maria Montessori, one of my favorite quotes from her is, "Never help a child with a task in which they feel they can succeed." So if you have a child that is trying to get a sock on their foot and you know that they probably can't do it, instead of just jumping in and saying, "You're not going to be able to do that, let me help you," give them some time to figure that out. You may be surprised just how much they can get accomplished. And what I would suggest doing is just being close by and maybe even saying something like, "I'm right here if you need help." But just really giving them that opportunity to learn on their own. If they think that they can succeed at it, don't try to hinder that desire in them. So it's so important to give your child the time that they need to complete the task of dressing. And you may be saying "Tara, that sounds great, but I have other kids," or, how in the world am I going to fit adding another 15 to 20 minutes into my morning, which Trust me, I understand that because I am not a morning person. So obviously everyone isn't going to have this ideal morning where you can wake up and give that extra 15 to 20 minutes. And on days that I need to rush, what I do is I just try to allow my child to do as much as I can possibly let them do. So I stick to the clothes that I know that they can put on, and I'll skip any steps of learning or practicing or anything that's like new or difficult clothing. I will kind of take over that. I just try to not let them know that I'm in a rush or that I'm taking over these other things. We tend to sometimes try to hurry up children, but what that causes is really an opposite reaction than what you want. Children can often sense our frustration, and it can cause them to panic or be frustrated as well. And I think we all know that that can lead to meltdowns, and that's not going to help you get out the door any faster. Staying calm yourself and just not letting them know that you're in a rush, I think, is key, and you'll probably have a much smoother morning than trying to rush your children out the door. So another thing that I do to help my mornings go smoother are I present the clothes for my children. So this looks a little bit different for my 3-year-old and my 20-month-old, but behind me you can see is a dressing station. Sometimes they're called that, or a children's wardrobe. And this one I have for my 3-year-old, and what I have done is I have laid out just a few outfits and clothing. As in many things for young children, less is more. So for my 20-month-old, I only give him 2 options of outfits to choose from, but for my 3-year-old, as you can see, I actually put usually the week's worth of outfits hung up that he can choose from. And I also do this with a week's worth of pajamas, as well as socks and underwear and anything like that, and I put that all right here. Now this is because my son is 3, almost 4, and he is very capable of picking out his own clothes, and we've been doing this for a while. So what I've done to make that a little bit easier is I, at the beginning of the week, just pick out a few outfits for him and I hang them on a hanger. I put the shorts like this on the hanger, and then I just put the shirt right over it. And he's really only interested in the shirt. We're not at the point where he wants to pick out his shirt and his pants all by himself. If we get to that point, we may change things up. But for right now, this is what works for us. My 3-year-old actually has never really been into picking out his own clothes. When I used to lay 2 options out when he was younger, he really wasn't all that interested in it. And which is very different than my 20-month-old now. He loves picking out his clothes. Like, he loves it. He lives for it. And sometimes he requests like certain clothes, like he'll go into the drawer and be like, no, I know that my bug shirt's in there, I want that. He has very specific shirts and pajamas that he enjoys wearing, but my 3-year-old, he really doesn't care what he's wearing, so he just sort of comes in here and is like, bloop, whichever one he sees first. But that's fine, I'm still giving him that independence. So yes, I put it together like this, and I hang it up right there, and he's able to come and choose his outfit for the day. Like I said, if you are starting with a child who is younger, or maybe if this is new for you and your child, for them to be picking out their own clothes, I would start with just 2 or maybe max 3 options. Make sure the options are appropriate. I've run into where I haven't had an option that's weather appropriate, and we really want to avoid having to go back and say, no, I'm sorry, you can't wear that option. That really takes away their independence and is bound to lead to a power struggle over clothes, which is really what we are trying to avoid. I want to show you guys my setup for my 3-year-old and then my 20-month-old, and as you can see behind me, we have a children's wardrobe, or sometimes they're called a Montessori dressing station, whatever you call them. It is not necessary to have one of these. We do have one for my 3-year-old. I do not use one with my 20-month-old just because we don't have 2 of them. So like I said, it is not necessary to have one of these wardrobes, but if you are interested in this one, I will leave the link down below, and I believe I also have a discount code. So if you're interested in purchasing this same children's wardrobe from Sprout, I'll leave that information down below. So we went over how I choose to hang his outfits for the week up, and again, I do this because that is what works for him. You can definitely put the clothes in drawers or have it just laid out for them. Whatever works for your family, this is just what works for ours. One thing I would say is that you're really going to want to make sure that the clothes are just low and accessible to your children. So whatever situation works for you, make sure that it is low and something that they can easily access. What I have for his dressing station is I have his shoes just laid out here. Honestly, I usually keep his shoes downstairs. We have like a little drop zone, but for this video and just to give you an example of what you can do with this dressing station, I've put the shoes here, but typically what I'm thinking about doing instead of having shoes here is maybe putting his bathing suits here since it is summertime. But for right now, I've got the shoes here laid out so you can choose it between sneakers or his rain boots. And he's pretty good at knowing if he needs to wear his rain boots or if it's a sneaker day. We talk about that. But you might want to just put out one option if you have a child who is younger or not used to picking out shoes. Then I have a few bins here. So the bottom one is for his socks. Then we have a bin for what we call daytime underwear. And then the bin on top of that is for nighttime underwear. So during the daytime, all he needs to do is grab socks, underwear, and then one of these outfits and he's ready to go. And then at nighttime, he can come and grab his nighttime underwear, and then I just have his pajamas for the week up here. What I do is I keep them rolled up so the pants and the shirts are together, and then he can just come and grab whichever pajamas he wants, but it's together. That is what has worked for us. So to help promote independence, a lot of times you'll see a few other things in a Montessori children's dressing station, and that is sometimes a small chair where the child can get dressed. Maybe they need to sit down and put their shoes on or socks on, so we do have a little stool here that he can do that with. So I've just set up a little tiny mirror here with this hairbrush, but I am planning on putting a mirror either on the side of the Sprout wardrobe or maybe on the wall more at his height. So yeah, those are just a few other things that you can see that I have to help him just be more independent for the day. And oh, he also does have a robe hanging on the side of the wardrobe. So for my 20-month-old, like I said, I'm in the middle of putting together a little dressing space in his room, but currently all I have been doing until I get that dressing space set up is just laying out his options. So each day I lay out 2 shirt options for him and he picks one out of the 2, and the same thing for pajamas. I'll lay out 2 pajamas options and he'll pick one. And I also let him help with things like picking out what diaper he wants. That seems to help with diaper changes. And another thing I would also suggest to have close to where they're getting dressed is a laundry basket. So this is a place where they can put their dirty clothes and they can be in charge of it. So I have a laundry basket like this in both of my boys' rooms, and I encourage them to put their dirty laundry in here when they are getting dressed and undressed. Okay, now let's get into the steps of how I teach my children how to dress themselves. There's no need to wait until the child can dress themselves to start talking to them about what you are doing. So before they can even talk or walk, we're going to be the ones dressing them, and we can teach them about dressing themselves by talking through what we are doing. So I'm putting your shirt over your head. I'm pulling up your pants. Typically, children will be able to start helping dressing themselves when they're able to stand on their own, when they're walking. Usually around 14-ish months is when they start wanting to help with these things. But every little bit of practicing is helping them to learn how to dress themselves, and you talking through what you are doing is helping them as well. So with my younger son, I do a lot of narrating what I'm doing. So I'm going to put your foot through the hole. I'm going to put your head through the shirt hole. And then we also do a little song about getting dressed that I learned from Ashley from the Hapa family. And we've incorporated that into our routine as well. Both of my boys know the song and they love to sing it. So the lyrics of the song are: tag on the floor, feet through the holes, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle till you see your toes, pull up over your butt. That's how you get your pants on, or you might say underwear on. I don't think she had a song for shirts, and I haven't created one for sure. But I just talk through how we're going to put our head through the big hole first, we're gonna pull it down, and then we're gonna put our arms through the little hole. And sometimes talking like that, like with big expressions and making it fun, can help your child want to put on their own clothes and want to give it a try. For socks, I've learned to do a hand over hand method for this. So this will involve me sitting behind them or them sitting on my lap, and I'm going to show them how I open the sock up really wide and how I pull it towards us to put their foot inside. Those are some of the tips that I've learned on how to help your child learn to dress themselves. Another part that I want to talk about when it comes to getting dressed is like jackets and outerwear. So in Montessori classrooms, you will see teachers teaching children how to do what's called a coat flip. And I'm gonna show you a little clip of my son doing it, but it's a really cool thing. And it was actually something that I remember doing when I was little. And it's putting the jacket on kind of on the floor upside down so that the hood is facing towards you. And then you're going to stick your hands, bend down and stick your hands through the armholes and then sort of flip the jacket up over you. It is really fun for kids to do, and it's a great way for them to get their jacket on independently and have fun doing it. Another thing that I have started doing in regards to jackets and outerwear is I've put little rings inside the coats, like where the little coat tag is, and this allows them to hang their coats more easily on the rings. Even my younger one, who's 20 months old, has now learned to hang his coat up because of the rings. When it comes to putting on shoes, I feel like this is something that kids learn pretty easily, especially if you have shoes that don't have ties. If they have Velcro, that's really helpful for them, but they do tend to put shoes on the wrong feet often. So one thing that I do for my kids is I put little stickers inside the shoes so they know, okay, if the stickers match up and it makes, I think we have a vehicle or something in there and it makes the vehicle, then that's how the shoes need to go on. But if your children decide that they want to put the shoes on the wrong feet, or if they accidentally do, there's no need to like go in and correct them. And this comes with any piece of clothing. If they have their shirt on backwards or inside out, you know, sometimes it's just okay. Like, just let them, no one cares if their shirt is on inside out. Let them be free. Like, they did it all by themselves. Nothing is worse than when you do something by yourself and you're happy and accomplished and someone tells you you did it wrong. So if you can, if you're in the situation, just let it be. And even with shoes being on the wrong foot, I mean, sometimes you might come in and say something like, oh, I noticed your shoes are on the wrong feet. Would you like me to help you put them on the right feet? But instead of being like, you put your shoes on the wrong foot, try to see if you can word it in a way that doesn't make them feel like they've done something wrong. Maria Montessori said, any child who is self-sufficient, who can tie his shoes, dress or undress himself, reflects in his joy and sense of achievement the image of human dignity, which is derived from a sense of independence. Our children do really want to be independent, and this is an area in which we can help give them some independence. So that is really what this is all about. That is what Montessori is about, is helping a child to help themselves, helping them to have that independence. And I have found that it really does eliminate some of the power struggles in the morning when I give my child independence where I can, and this is a place where I can give it to him. So I hope that you found this video helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. I love to hear from you guys. And if you aren't already subscribed, please consider subscribing, because I make new videos just like this every week. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!